Welcome to the AI Hustle Podcast, the podcast where we break down the latest in AI news, tools, and interview experts helping you hustle and do more using AI. If you've been following the podcast for a while, you'll know that over the last 6 months, I've been working on a stealth AI startup. Of the hundreds of projects I've covered, this is the one that I believe has the greatest potential. So today I'm excited to announce AIBox. AIBox is a no-code AI app building platform paired with the App Store for AI that lets you monetize your AI tools. The platform lets you build apps by linking together AI models like ChatGPT, Midjourney, and ElevenLabs. Eventually will integrate with software like Gmail, Trello, and Salesforce, so you can use AI to automate every function in your organization. To get notified when we launch and be one of the first to build on the platform, you can join the waitlist at aibox.ai. The link is in the show notes. We are currently raising a seed round of funding. If you're an investor that is focused on disruptive tech, I'd love to tell you more about the platform. You can reach out to me at jaden@aibox.ai. I'll leave that email in the show notes. The first thing I want to talk about here is the fact that ElevenLabs, right? This is the AI-driven platform. It's, specializing in synthetic voice technology, right? So able to generate AI voices. It has officially moved out of its beta phase and now supports over 30 different languages. This is really incredible. It's all powered by its newly developed in-house AI model. And the platform can now automatically recognize languages including, but these aren't also the only ones, but it can do like Korean, Dutch, Vietnamese. Not only can it identify these languages, but also essentially promises to deliver emotionally rich speech in those languages. And if you don't know what emotionally rich speech is, think of all of the terrible AI generated voices you've heard for the last 10 years. You got like Microsoft Sam default voice, that's like the OG. Then of course there's Siri and even Alexa and OK, like the Google one, whatever, Google Assistant. These are not emotional voices. They don't have emotion to them. They sound very flat and basic. So emotionally rich voices sound very human. They've got all the inflection in them. I mean, my podcast will eventually probably just get completely replaced by an AI just talking for me. Just kidding. It's actually kind of interesting. At the very beginning of this, I had for about 6 months before launching this podcast, I had made probably 10 different podcasts, which were exclusively an AI talking. And actually had some of them that really popped. Like one, it actually makes me mad. One podcast I started, I won't name it, but it's not in the AI space. It's in a different niche to promote a different business I had. But it literally, I went and looked up its analytics yesterday, and it has 1,500 followers on Apple Music or on Apple Podcasts. And the thing gets, it has around, I think like on a listen basis, it was getting probably close to like, I don't know, a 20th. So like 20% of what this podcast gets. This one's absolutely blown up. This one went crazy, but it's getting 20% just from AI. And that was like after a number of months. So, and like really not that high quality podcast. I'm actually going to have the whole thing completely converted to actually having a real human run it. But I guess I tell you that because AI voices are really cool and a really good way to do a lot of stuff. But I do think there's a lot of value in human voices. So when I started this podcast, I was like, I'm not going to use an AI. I'll use a human voice. I'm hoping you guys appreciate my anecdotes and like commentary, experience in the industry, blah, 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 all that kind of stuff versus just an AI that, rips something from ChatGPT or something to read to you. In any case, I think what really sets, getting back on topic, I think what kind of sets ElevenLabs apart is its voice cloning tool. If you haven't used it, it's incredible. I've used it, have it set up for a bunch of voices for myself. Again, don't worry, I'm a human. I haven't replaced myself yet. But in any case, the feature really allows users to speak in over 30 different languages without the need to type text first. So what's really cool about this technology, in my opinion, is the fact that if I cloned my voice, I could, of course, be talking to you in English, but I could use an English transcript or like English audio files to clone my voice and have it speak in a ton of different languages, but it still sounds like me. So personally, I speak English and French. I lived in France for 2 years. But what's interesting is like, I wonder what it would sound like if I trained it with my English voice and had it speak French. I bet it would have a better accent because obviously I have an English accent. Like I do my best, but not perfect there for sure. But I wonder what it would be like having it speak French for me I think that'd be very, very interesting. So in any case, the CEO and co-founder of ElevenLabs expressed the company's vision and said, quote, ElevenLabs was started with the dream of making all content universally accessible in any language and in any voice. So with this release, we're one step closer to making this dream a reality and making human quality AI voices available in every dialect. Our text-to-speech generation tool helps level the playing field and bring top quality spoken audio capabilities to all the creators out there. So ElevenLabs was founded by Steinswisky, a former Palantir employee, and his childhood friend Piotr Dabowski, who is an ex-Google staff member. And ElevenLabs was inspired by the really subpar dubbing of American movies, which both of them encountered growing up in Poland. Shout out to the people of Poland. I'm sorry you had to watch our terribly dubbed movies. I got a lot of great friends in Poland. But the platform really quickly gained traction since its beta launch in late January, thanks in part, I think, to kind of the quality of its generative voices. And also it had a pretty generous free tier that I think helped it grow a lot. So in any case, this has not always been a smooth ride for the company. I think the platform actually faced a lot of controversy when it was exploited to share, quote unquote, hate messages on forums like 4chan. And essentially create problematic audio samples. So in response to this, ElevenLabs introduced new safeguards, including limiting voice cloning to paid accounts and launching a new AI detection tool. It's kind of interesting. A lot of times when these companies get controversy, Midjourney did the exact same thing. It's like the first thing they do, they're like, okay, it's not free for everyone anymore. And so the secret there, in case anyone doesn't know, because I've mentioned this before on the podcast, but the reason why making it paid and not having a free tier anymore for things like voice cloning is a good safety feature is because it's not just because it's like paying people will still break the rules and do things they're not supposed to, but the benefit there is for the free tier you can be anonymous, and so if you pay, you have a credit card on file, and unless you're committing credit card fraud, which is a whole nother problem, then if you're breaking the rules, they know literally who you are. They can ban you. They can ban your name from trying to do things in the future. And, if you were making it say something super bad or illegal or blah, 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 whatever, you're a lot more, they pretty much have your identity if you are a paying user because they got your credit card. So that's kind of the concept there. In any case, the platform's really rapid expansion, I think, has also ignited a lot of concerns about the future of the voice acting industry. That's what, right now we have the Writers Guild is on strike because ChatGPT makes them, worried they're all going to lose their jobs. Well, guess what? Voice actors are definitely at big risk right here with ElevenLabs. It's an incredible technology. It does a great job. So that's that. Love it or hate it, that's what it is. I think voice actors are kind of increasingly finding themselves being asked to relinquish the rights to their voices, which really would enable clients to create an AI-generated version of their voice. And companies like Activision Blizzard are also exploring voice cloning tools, which has raised a lot of questions about kind of the long-term impact on the industry. But despite all of these controversies, ElevenLabs has shown no signs of slowing down. This is actually, I'll give a big congratulations to ElevenLabs, a big compliment in a sense that I remember I mentioned all of those AI podcasts I've used. I actually did not use ElevenLabs to generate them. I used Well Said Labs. Maybe their pricing structure was better or something, but the reason I used ElevenLabs is because, I used Well Said Labs is because they had a voice that sounded just it was uncanny how human it sounded. They had one voice in particular that was really good. ElevenLabs I also found did, but I think maybe the pricing was more expensive or something. But in any case, it's interesting because if you've looked at my podcast, you've seen I've covered ElevenLabs a dozen times on this podcast, and I have yet to cover Well Said Labs. I'll mention it now, but I'm not seeing it in any news articles or in any kind of top of the news of new features, and I'm sure they're rolling stuff out, but they're just not doing some of the big pushes that ElevenLabs and others are doing. They're not raising the big money that a lot of these others are raising. And so it is really interesting. I will give a big shout out to ElevenLabs. They really are pushing the envelope, and they're really pushing hard as far as innovation in the sound space goes. And I think that they're doing a good job. Honestly, I think ElevenLabs is a good job, a good product. The voice cloning is super cool. So big shout out to ElevenLabs for all of that. I think that it has collaborations with publishers like Storytel and some media platforms like The Soul Publishing for audiobooks and also radio content. And then they also have over 1 million registered users across a bunch of different sectors, including creative, entertainment, and publishing. And all of them have collectively generated a decade's worth of audio content, which is pretty impressive. So I think recently they secured $19 million of investment from Andreessen Horowitz, right, A16Z, and also DeepMind co-founder Mustafa Suleyman, and they did this at a valuation of around $99 million. So ElevenLabs has very ambitious plans for the future. I think it aims to really extend its technology to voice dubbing, following the path of startups like Papercup and DeepDub. And I think the ultimate goal for them is to build kind of a foundation to be able to transfer emotions and intonation from one language to another. And then further down the road, I think ElevenLabs intends to introduce a feature allowing users to essentially share voices on its platform, although the specifics remain kind of unclear at this stage. But you can imagine how popular that would be if there was a marketplace where, like, as a voice artist, you could just clone your voice, put it on there, and allow people to like rent your voice, essentially, right? Pay you for the usage, you get a royalty. I think that's an incredible platform, and that will be super popular in the future and save voice artists a lot of time, right? They have a great voice, they get paid for it, and as they should, but they don't have to sit there and manually record everything. Like, anyone complaining about that has not spent hours and hours recording their own voice like I have for this podcast, only because I love you guys though. And it is a lot of work though, and it's a grind. And honestly, some days after recording a bunch of podcast episodes, like, my voice is sore, and it would be amazing if there was a tool that could overcome that for, commercial uses and other things like that. So it's going to be cool to see what happens, but this is definitely an awesome company that I'm a big fan of. If you are looking for an innovative and creative community of people using ChatGPT, you need to join our ChatGPT creators community. I'll drop a link in the description to this podcast. We'd love to see you there, where we share tips and tricks of what is working in ChatGPT. It's a lot easier than a podcast, as you can see screenshots, you can share and comment on things that are currently working. So if this sounds interesting to you, check out the link in the comment. We'd love to have you in the community. Thanks for tuning in to the AI Hustle podcast. If you could do us a massive favor, we would really, really appreciate it if you could leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts. This helps people find the podcast. It helps people know this is a good place to go. And we would really, really appreciate it, as it helps us continue to bring on incredible guests and share incredible content for you to listen to.